Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, Place of Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Plus, we're now at the point, the video where the streak is lost has gone out. I apologize, Ms. Disculpus 13GH MHPH. But again, it's kind of like cerebrally, psychologically, metaphysically, it's a little bit easier to deal with it. Once you already have a little baby streak, admittedly, but a streak nonetheless, you know, backing us up, helping us out. Shade, here's a thought. Like, wouldn't it be sick if you were good instead of not good? Man, the places we might go. So what have we learned? Well, the first thing I would say is, yes, technically, we probably should have popped Monster Manuel early rather than late. And yes, maybe, and this one's a maybe, we shouldn't have gone to the curse room. But with 3 HP, I'm not sweating it. The other thing is, you know, as long as we're playing the pedantic game, it's pretty realistic that if I found a spirit heart, I'd pick it up, then never go to the curse room. And then I would, if that were the case, I would never get shade. And if I didn't get shade, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I don't know if we'd even be capable of completing the game of the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. I mean, just defeating Mom is such a challenge. I don't know if I could handle it. But we're still out here. Today is a Sunday, also known as Deadly Premonition Day. Still, oh, you know what? I like it. Still very much gathering my thoughts on Deadly Premonition 2. It's weird. Because historically, and I might have even mentioned this with respect to Deadly Premonition 2 before it came out, one of my favorite film experiences is the movie The Room. Yes, haha, circle jerk. Oh, hi, Mock. Yeah, everybody knows. But prior to Tommy Wiseau realizing that people were watching it to make fun of him, and then him becoming the character that people thought he was, it was a great movie-going experience, a moment of, oh, should have let you have that one, but that's okay. Genuine love of the craft combined with the complete lack of skill led to a film experience like no other. To some extent, I kind of feel like that's Deadly Premonition, but a little bit different. You know, Deadly Premonition 1 is janky, but it also, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say that it accomplishes what it aims for, probably, but I do feel like some of the idiosyncrasy with it was definitely intentional, and some of it was like we made an earnest effort but just couldn't get it done. I'm not taking this pill, okay? I'm not taking this pill. So then, what about Deadly Premonition 2? This feels like a library. We definitely want it, but we don't want to ruin our Devil Deal chances early. If we can get a Spirit Heart, it would probably be worth it. That was super close. I feel like, certainly, Swery recognizes that one of the reasons Deadly Premonition was popular, at least... oh, jeez Louise. From a cult classic standpoint, is because of the fact that, you know, it's goofy, right? Go ahead, Bumbo. Faster we can get you to a higher level, the happier I'm going to be. Now, we could go back for the books, but I still think I'd rather wait. Maybe if we get a Spirit Heart here, we can sack a Red Heart to get the books. Yeah. Okay. But I still think, at least thus far, it's kind of accomplishing its goals. Hold on, I'm thinking about this, because, like, How to Jump definitely lets us hold multiple books. But, like, here's the thing. I want to get Bookworm. That's not a problem. But if I want to leave the room without taking damage, I have to stick with How to Jump. Am I willing to take that as my cost? Yes. Now, in the future, might I return and maybe consider picking up, like, Book of the Dead? Yeah, sure. I think we could maybe... I think we could make that a reasonable case. That's very nice, quite frankly. But I think for now, the mature decision is just sticking with How to Jump, which is honestly an item that I probably criminally underrate. So just having the opportunity to work with it. Sorry, it's the first Isaac episode of the day. Dodges are not quite where they need to be. But that's alright, we'll get there. So that's where I'm at on Deadly Premonition 2 right now. I certainly think that it is not as earnest of an effort as Deadly Premonition 1. which tends to compromise the ability to enjoy something a little janky like that. However, I think that as compared to something like, you know, Tommy Wiseau's work post The Room, I am still having a good time, and I'm like, you know what? It's less about the fact, like, and this, I've taken issue with people saying this in the past, for sure, on this very program, but I always thought it was silly. Let's go. When people suggested that, like, the reason... I need this, please. Thank you. When people suggested that the reason that Deadly Premonition is good is because it's bad, I don't think that's the case at all. I think Deadly Premonition is such a singular, auteur-driven piece of work that if you vibe with it heavily, and you forgive the jank to the point where maybe the jank starts to become part of the charm. I definitely do not think that... I mean, let me put it this way. I think if you played the game, and you're... we might as well take one Spirit Art in. And as you were playing the game, you were like, I'm loving this game because it's so bad. I very much disagree. Okay, thank God I did. I disagree with your central premise, quite frankly. The game is bad. I don't think it's good because it's bad. I think it's good because it's a representation of one man's insane singular vision about what he wanted this game to be. It's tough. Do we want Bloody Penny? So, hear me out here. I think we're going to stick with How to Jump for the time being. Bloody Penny is... I think it's worth it. It's really good. As long as we can... I mean, eventually we're going to pick up money, is I guess what I'm trying to say. For now, it's all going to Bumbo, but when we get max level Bumbo, we're going to mix it up a little bit. Like, you might as well still take that. 1 penny doesn't change things too much for us right now. It might change things for you quite drastically. How was my weekend? My weekend was good. Spent some time at our in-laws' place, and got our nursery ready to go. It's pretty much all good to go now. Which is scary. You're kind of like... Well, scary is not the right word. I'm genuinely, like, not apprehensive about becoming a father. I think I'm, like... You have to be careful when you say that, because people are like, oh, you're not taking it seriously, then you don't even know what's going to happen. But it's more like... It's more like I feel prepared, if that makes sense. You know, we've taken the baby classes. We got the room all set up. You know, we got all the infrastructure we need to make it happen. So I definitely do not think it's going to be a breeze or a walk in the park. But I'm like, to some extent... Oh, there we go. I'm like, what is there to be nervous about? It's not the Earth's first baby. You got a quandary with the baby? You ask someone who's had a baby before, like my own parents, for example. I'm not... Concerned is not the right word, I guess. I know I'm ready to invest the amount of work that it's going to require and figure it out as we go. I'm definitely not like, oh, my life is going to... At any given moment, my life could change drastically. I'm like, I'm ready for it. But it is wild, you know, we're at like week 31 as of the time of this recording. More like... week, hey, we got like a 1 week backlog, so it'll be like week 32 as of the time of you're watching this, minimum. Could happen any given moment, you know, it could happen today, for that matter. Probably won't, statistically speaking, it's not likely, but either way. Better to have everything set up now. I will admit that in my head, I was like, we don't need to put these shelving units up here, okay? Because the shelving units are used to hold books. We should be reading to the baby right away, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you know, the first couple of weeks, you got a newborn infant. I don't think you really need to be like, you know, hop on pop or whatever the Dr. Seuss books are called. But then I thought, you know what? I feel like within 2 months of the baby's birth is a really good time to get things done. Because you are running out of time, and I'm pretty sure that any optional thing, that like if you've been putting off cleaning your garage or something like that, and you got a baby that's going to be born in the next month and a half, I would probably clean that garage right away. That's my hypothesis, because you will have a very good excuse not to clean it when you start getting like 4 hours of sleep a night for 18 years in a row. I really do. You know what? Our HP is high enough. I think we will take Empty Vessel. Couple of reasons. One is if we ever get like, I always forget the name of this item. The item that, it must, Abaddon, there we go. So let me walk you through what happened there. I said it must start with an A, because my brain is going, a thame. And then I went, what devil deal items start with an A? And I went, Abaddon, and then I was like, wait a minute, why couldn't I think of the name of the item? Because that is the name of the item. If we get Abaddon, it's instantly the ability to fly. If we get, like, Guppy's Paw, we can turn it into the ability to fly, plus the invincibility. And I think it would be worth it. The other thing is, we have we have 7 HP, which is a lot. So giving up a little of that HP to get a deal with the devil precedent for the future. Most of the time with my new philosophy, I would say that's not that important. But when we have this much HP, I think is justifiable. I want it. Very big money well spent, let's put it that way. Can't even pick that one up. Alright, we'll move on. I still think we want to keep Bloody Penny. The reason is not because I'm worried about my HP, but if we encounter an arcade, we'll be stoked to have Bloody Penny. Can maybe pretty easily generate more money than we're losing. Pair throw, AWAS, we'll just pop AWAS. Are we looking at boss rush? We're competitive from a boss rush standpoint. It could happen. Bumbo is really like... He's the great equalizer for us right now, because this run is actually very offensively weak. But because we have Bumbo, it doesn't seem that bad. But we desperately, within the next couple of floors, would be looking at, you know, if we don't get a big improvement, we're going to be pretty upset. We're going to be displeased with where we stand. I really wish you had just blown that up, but that's okay. Sure, Iron Bar. Not an insignificant damage upgrade for us when you consider that our damage was so low to begin with. Rate of fire, not really that much better. This run is, it's like the best run you could ask for a run with such poor DPS. Max level Bumbo, real early on. Good deal with the Devil Optics. Everything's good. Let me grab this. So yeah, that was pretty much my Sunday. I watched a lot of hockey. I'm really trying, I mean, there have been years for sure, or, you know, like a decade, where I feel bad being like, I relaxed. Because I think anytime you say that, you're like inviting the kind of like internet measuring contest. Oh, that's nice that you relaxed. I worked as a volunteer firefighter and saved 27 people from a burning building. But yeah, you do you, I guess. But I'm trying not to feel as guilty about that for a couple of reasons. One is, you know, reconfiguring my life philosophy to some extent to reconcile the fact that I enjoy working, but also simultaneously, I don't, you know, live to work. You know, your life is to some extent defined by your work for sure, but, you know, secondarily, you live to live, if that makes sense. So, you know, don't apologize for living your life. And then also secondarily, knowing that free time is going to be at a heavy premium starting soon, so enjoying it while it lasts. So I watched a lot of hockey this weekend. Well, I watched a couple of games. It's an interesting choice, huh? I think you per-throw that right out of the gate, and that's garbage. And I think a compass is probably worth it. It is good to have hockey back. Again, I've been talking about this before. I think people, I don't know. I don't want to call them doomers, because I get called a doomer myself sometimes just by reading the news. But I think people expect, without actually knowing the actual way that the league has restarted, they just expect, like, well, it's definitely going to shut down. But I think because of the bubbling, it stands a really good chance to actually finish. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I do get a little tired of people that are like, under no circumstances should this be happening. Because I'm like, you know, in a normal kind of... If you were like, hey, we're just going to run the league as normal, I would be like, yeah, that's idiotic. You're going to let people, like, you know, go to their homes and then get on a big airplane and fly to another city and then, you know, repeat that 40 times? That seems like madness. But the fact that everybody's, like, pre-tested for, like, 20 times before they went into the bubble, and now that they're in the bubble, they can't leave the bubble unless they engage in some clandestine unbubbling. But, you know, I don't really have control over that, so they're adults. We'll stick with the Joker card for sure. So we got... Synth Oil is a good pickup. I don't really think we need the other ones, honestly. I think they're kind of non-compulsory. But yeah, I honestly think it's got a good chance. And it's not just because I'm a hockey fan. I think that the NBA has a good chance, too. And I think that baseball is in a dangerous place. And football, I just have genuinely no idea how they would possibly get it done. But we'll see. It's not like sport elitism. It's really just operations. Like, you know, if the NFL had been heading into their playoffs when this happened, I think they could bubble and make it work. If they're trying to run a regular season with home games and travel and stuff like that, I don't see it happening. Seems impossible to me, but... I will say as well, it's kind of like the ideal situation as a sports fan. You know how people, like, when they don't know who to root for, they go, I just hope it's a good game, so the audience is the real winner. That's actually, like, how I feel. Like, even if the Canucks get blown out 3 games in a row, I think I'll be like, you know what? At least it's hockey. At least we get to watch something. Guess what? Give me one of these. I'm just paying it forward to the donation machine. So, how do I feel about Thunder Thighs? I feel like we definitely should take it, believe it or not. The speed down is really bad, but the theme of this run, at least presently, is really just being a tank. And I can't overstate that I think being able to step on these skulls is going to be super useful for us. If we had any lower speed, like if we had 1.1 speed, I probably wouldn't have taken it. I think Thunder Thighs is an item that I consistently take maybe like 20% of the time these days. But I think this is one of the 20%. Why not? Quick reroll. No, these belong to me. Thank you, though. And you know what? I will take that. And then here we will walk in. By the way, I didn't even talk about it. Good, very, very smart play there. We got super lucky to get our HP back. But yeah, I didn't take 9 lives. And it's kind of just like putting my money where my mouth is, you know? If I think this is going to be an HP-driven run, why would we want 9 lives? You know, if we had 3 HP, it's a different story. We have, now we have 9 HP. I am pleased with where we stand, and I am also very much trying to blow up all these skulls, because like a single Emperor card would make my day. You know that song? Make my, pump the jams, pump it. Whatever happened to Jock Jams? I kind of miss the arena experience of sports in the mid-90s and late 2000s. I mean, it's no coincidence, right? Everybody's nostalgic for, like, the same era of their lives. But I miss the, you know, arenas now are like, I'm yelling timber. Everybody clap your hands. Clap, 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 clap. And maybe kids will be nostalgic for that when they get older. But for me, nothing screams get hype like hearing this. Well, I don't know why it's KK Slider. We should probably be using our how to jump, huh? I can't believe this is Debs 2, right? No, it's Debs 1. Okay. Well, screw that then. I was gonna go back to our shop. Shouldn't have popped 2 of diamonds. I was like, we got a chance to cheese the boss rush. Everybody cheese the rush. Tuck, 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 tuck. You know what would be sick? Not walking into this guy and taking a bunch of damage. No, that's not what I was gonna say. What would be sick is Mom's Contact, so we can freeze enemies for Bumbo to eat them. I mean, it would be a nice, nice pickup. Sorry, I got that early morning dry throat. Mostly because I start every day by recording an hour-long Trackmania video now. So we've already seen this, we know it's Guppy, we didn't want it. Even picking up the 9 lives and then picking up 1 HP, I don't want it. Like Jon Snow, trying to avoid buying the insurance for a rental car. I told you, I don't want it. I do want to fight this mini-boss, though. I do want it. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, we were at Kate's parents' place for like 4 hours. Just largely like, and don't get me wrong, I like it. Because we go out there, we eat some delicious Korean food, and then sometimes I teach Kate's mom a little English. But sometimes she's like, I'm not really feeling it today. So I'm like, you know what? That means I get to sit on the couch and look at my phone. Which is, you know, there have been times in my life where I did so much of that it was boring. I'm not there right now. To have a little downtime to sit on your couch and look at your phone, appreciate it. I appreciate that little bit of free time. Doesn't bother me in the least. I still, though, like... I'm like, I gotta... For Christmas, we gotta get them, like, a new TV. They have... And it's fine. It's not like, you know, it's a disaster. Well, I mean... Look, here's what I'm gonna say. Times have changed a lot with respect to the television market. And I've been down this road before, so I apologize if you've heard it 10 times before. But, you know, there was a period in time, you know, I don't know, 50 years long, where TV technology didn't really seem to change that much. So the only thing that mattered was the size of your TV. During this period, my grandfather purchased a 60 or 62-inch TV. And again, the screen is 62 inches. The actual unit itself is like the size of ENIAC, the world's first computer that took up an entire university dormitory. It's insane, the size of this thing, right? So, after that, TV got a little weird for a while. There was, don't get me wrong, by the way, I'm happy to have Demon Baby. TV got a little weird for a while. People started to care way, way more about picture quality, and they stopped making square televisions quite as much because, you know, widescreen became the preferred resolution. Or preferred aspect ratio, I should say. Look, I work in video. I gotta be specific about this stuff, I suppose. And that's where you started to have situations where people were like, why would you buy a 17-inch TV instead of a 50-inch TV? And people were like, well, because it's a flat screen, so the picture quality is really good. I think we're at a level now where TVs, like, I'm not going to say that they're cheap, but I think that relative to the industry, they're, like, cheaper than they've ever been. That's how I feel about it, at least. Like, we did buy a new TV when we moved, and it was, like, it's a 40-inch smart TV, and it was a few $100s. You know, I feel like if you bought a 40-inch picture tube TV in the year 1998, it was like $5,000. But anyway, this is all, it just goes to set up the bit, which is my in-laws have a, I would maybe say like a 40-inch, it's one of those pieces of furniture that's not just a television. Like, the television has a built-in stand that it sits on top of, and then the stand is where, like, all of the components for the TV are, and it's a 4x3 instead of 16x9, which is already, like, a pretty huge knock in the year 2020, and then, or 2006 for that matter. And then the picture quality is really, like, washed out and bad. And it's not like, look, it's a little bit of, like, first world problem, for sure, don't get me wrong. Oh no, my big television is old. But it's like, it's one of those things where, you know, I use technology for the most part until it dies. Like, basically my wife had to force me to get a new phone. I've been using the same cell phone for like 6 or 7 years. And I was like, it works fine. And then when she got me a new phone for my birthday, I was like, all right, it turns out I didn't know what I was missing. But then I got used to this one, and now I'm like, hey, this one ain't all it's cracked up to be either. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy with it. But I'm like, I just know that, hey, let me out here. You know, you get, when you get used to technology, then the technology needs to impress you that much more in the future to get to the same level. You know what I mean? It's like if you've only eaten gruel for your whole life, and then someone's like, hey, try this lobster. You might have been perfectly happy with gruel on Tuesday. Next time you eat gruel, you're going to be miserable, you know, despite very little having changed. Go ahead. Go ahead. Prefer this angle. Oh, baby. That's mighty interesting. Thank you. I would like the speed upgrade. I do appreciate this, by the way. I don't know how deep we want to go here. It's a little spiced. Maybe that's where I'm willing to stop. Unless, okay, if we get that, then we'll go one more. Hey, let's go. I really thought I could make it. That's the first time I've tried to use how to jump productively today. But yeah, they just need a new TV. Like, it's one of those things where it's not like, hey, they're using last year's cell phone. It's actually like they're using like a rotary telephone in their home. And I'm like, you know, if you got a cell phone, you wouldn't even have to, you know, call the weather network service in order to determine what the weather's going to be like tomorrow. You could just like hit a button and it would show up. They also, I mean, everybody likes different stuff, right? But I was shocked when I went to their place. I tried to watch some of the hockey game. They do not get the general sports channel. However, every time I go over there, they're watching LPGA golf. Now, this is not me punching down at LPGA golf. I don't know, like, if I've ever encountered that situation before, where somebody's like, yeah, I love sports. And then, you have the sports channel? No. Do I have the golf network? Yeah, I'm watching this tournament from 2017. More power to you, you know? If you're a golf enthusiast, I'm sure you love watching the golf network. I'm a big... I was telling Kate yesterday. I was like, I'm a big fan of all semi-casual sports. I understand you could be hardcore about golf. But, like... I don't know. I played a lot of basketball growing up. More basketball than, like, you know, a 5'10" Canadian kid from a rural area, you know, could logically justify spending that much time to. And pickup basketball is fun, but it's not like, I don't know. I would never be like, oh, Sunday morning, want to play a quick game of pickup basketball? But I could definitely see myself later in life being like, hey, it's Sunday, time to knock out that round of golf. And I know that golf also has, like, some status stuff associated with it. It's definitely considered, like, a sport for the elites. However, that's not why I'm into it. I'm not, like, trying to make business deals out there. I just think it's kind of... Like, I think golf has become, let's not say corrupted. But I think that oh, yes. I think that because of golf's, place in culture and society as like where business deals take place, that, you know, the every person kind of misses out on the fact that it's just kind of fun to hit a ball around. Like I like both golf and tennis. I think are sports that are like, Niles, fetch my ball hopper please, but also simultaneously are sports that are good for the every person. Golf's a little expensive, I'll admit, but are good for the every person because they're fun to be bad at. Like, if you're bad at basketball and you're playing pickup basketball, your team might have a couple of tryhards who get annoyed with you. I mean, I'll admit, I played intramural basketball in high school. Intramural is basically just like, hey, you're bad at this, but, like, you can do it over lunchtime. And, I had a guy on my team who was basically like, well, a kid, let's be honest, because it was 9th grade, but I had a kid on my team who was basically like Michael Scott. It was so frustrating. Every time he would get the ball, he would just yeet it from anywhere on the court. If he was right up against the backboard, he would lay it up. No problem. You know, that's a high percentage play. But even if he got the ball at like a half court, he would like one-hand baseball throw it, and you're like, come on, man. You ever play like Ultimate Team? Or not Ultimate Team, but like NBA 2K where everybody controls a player in 3-on-3 basketball, or like EA SHL in the NHL games where everybody controls one player. It's kind of like that. You end up in this situation where you're like, you know, if I pass it to you, I know you're just going to shoot no matter what, and the odds of it working out are insanely low. However, if I don't ever pass to you, then we're playing at a permanent disadvantage. So you gotta kind of like figure out on the fly which one's worse. And I gotta tell you, it's almost, in my experience, it's almost always worse to pass to the ball hog. Because they don't care about winning. You know, you got one other person on your team who cares about winning. This person, though, is like, if we lose 9-1 but I scored the goal, then at least I'm not the person to blame, even if they're the person to blame. So it makes you into a bad person in these games. Because you gotta be like, you're open, but I'm not gonna pass to you. Because of the fact that if I pass to you, you're gonna squander the play. Anyway, I'm not trying to make this insanely long. You gotta go, thank you. But you get the idea, you know? So that, like, that part of basketball can be very frustrating. However, it can also be fun, I'm sure, if you got a good squad, you know what you're doing. Even if you lose, you can have some fun with it, right? But at least in golf and tennis, I don't know. I feel like this is true with video games as well. Right now, I'm like, both golf and tennis are fun, even if you suck. But here's how the tendency tends to work for me. You get into a hobby, and you're like, it's just fun to do. And then, like, as you get more and more into the hobby, you're like, I'm investing a lot of time into this. I might as well try to get good. And then you get an initial burst of progress where you're like, I'm trying and doing better. And then you face your first bit of strife, and you're like, I can't believe that I'm ticked off when I'm in my free time. I dreamed about playing, you know, Counter-Strike Global Offensive all day while I was at work. Now I'm at work, or let me rephrase. Now I'm home from work and it's freaking, I'm mad, you know? So you gotta keep your expectations in check, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Speaking of which, this run is actually a little hot. We should be completely fine. But you want to make sure, right? What's our luck stat? Low. That's fine. That's fine. What we would love to see... I mean, I think we just play this one tight and we should be okay. You know, on the Cathedral, we let it slip away a little bit. As long as we... Like, I can really feel inside of myself when things start to slip a little bit. You know, because even right now, I can feel it. My brain is, like, sending a signal that's like, you're done, just send it. You know, I'm getting, like, a little Isaac senioritis. This is where things can get very, very spicy if you're not playing your cards right. So I'm not sweating it too much that we took a hit there. And I actually love to see a situation like this. Although it can be frustrating to hit a dead end on an easy room is pretty nice. You know, because you have a chance to get consumables or whatever. Or not. I mean, really, this is Bumbo's show, right? This is the legend of Bumbus. If you wouldn't mind just eating all the enemies while I hide in the corner, I actually really appreciate the bombs, too. Then I consider it a big win. Confusing the enemies with the concussive tears is also nice. It means we don't have to worry so much about them getting up in our grill. You know what? That worked out better than expected. This room's not so bad. But we have a battery charge to burn, so why not? You know, this is really maybe like the first real audition since our last loss. This is one where I'm like, we're in the mix without a doubt. Like, we shouldn't be running into trouble. But if we play as badly as we played on our loss, we will lose this one. But every time, you know, we get a little bit closer to the boss room, that becomes a little bit less likely to come to pass. But this run was not all that and a bag of potato chips, which I assure you is a thing that many people are saying this. All that and a bag of potato chips. Thank you for the battery charge. Still very contemporary and very legal. Now, should not have been playing with fire up there. But then, see, it's the guillotine factor, you know? When you take the guillotine, you're going to do a lot more damage, but you're also going to put yourself at a greater risk of not being able to see what's happening. Peter. That's not a Family Guy reference. I get very tilted when people say, is that a Family Guy reference? It's a reference to Lumbergh from Office Space. Hey, Peter. Yeah. If you could just go ahead and kill Gluttony last so we could get an HP upgrade, that would be great. Thanks. I'm not good at it. That's Gary Cole is he's the master. That's his name, right? Gary Cole? I think that's his name. He's been in a lot of stuff. This Gary Cole. He's not just Lumbergh. You know what's weird? Is watching Office Space as a child, I was like, Bill Lumbergh's old. Watching Office Space as an adult, I'm like, he's only like 40, and also he's in incredible shape. That's a sobering realization. When you're like the guy who I thought was ancient when I was a kid is actually like a little bit older than I am now, but just crushing it in the fitness department. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. We're back, and I'll see you next time. See you.